Hello, I am recapping week 3 of The Artist's Way, which was recovering a sense of power. I finished week 3 yesterday. I officially started week 4 today. I'm gonna try to record these on Sunday, the Sunday that I actually finished, just so like the 2 weeks are very like separated in my head. And I also, as much as possible, I'm just trying to push myself to just show up. It's not gonna be it's not gonna be an edited video, except like literally the timestamps, the end of the beginning and the end. Like I will make sure that that's tight. And I want to, and I was really, honestly, I'll be honest, like inspired by, again, Doechii, and like looking back at, I feel like how honestly she showed up on camera. And I think that actually is a really hard thing to do, of just like, I'm gonna keep in my I'm gonna keep in the moments where I'm like, really trying to find a word. Again, I don't really know. I mean, at this point, there are not that many views, so it should be fine. But I think it's just this radical honesty that I really appreciate, and I want to push myself to have as a person and within my art. Neither here nor there. Let's get into week 3, recovering a sense of power. So what that said in the beginning was that this week may find you dealing with unaccustomed bursts of energy and sharp peaks of anger, joy, and grief. You're coming into your power as illusory hold of your previously accepted limits is shaken. You'll be asked to consciously experiment with spiritual open-mindedness. So this week was cool. I'm gonna get into like how I did with like the artists, the morning pages and the artist date and whatnot. But just to like really quickly land for a second on some of the stuff that was written about, because to be honest, like it's such a well-written book. Like not for nothing, it's just so many like, oh, that's really beautiful. That's a really beautiful way of thinking about things that I feel like I'm being gifted. Me reaching week 3 is actually really pivotal for me because I never made it past week 3. So I think it's gonna even be even more pivotal when I actually like make it to week 4. And so, happy to be here. And I actually don't think I know I wasn't doing like the exercises and whatnot the first time or two that I try to do this around. And I'm doing as many of the exercises as I can. So, a few things that they talked about. The first thing was about anger. I think that this is just very interesting, especially reading as a Black woman, especially after the last few months for me. Recently, and I've written about this on Substack before, but like having to own my anger more. The election really pissed me off. And I also, just began to reflect and realize that like a lot of my journey with spirituality led me to this place of suppressing my anger, of like, oh, okay, I found some bits of peace and I wanted to hold on to peace more than I wanted to hold on to any other emotion. I think also just being a Black woman in America with a large degree of emotional intelligence, and so being aware of like, oh, stereotypes of angry Black women, I was so hell-bent on not being. I don't like being anything that people expect, like don't put me in a box. I'm a Gemini, don't put me in a box. And I think this just, did a really beautiful job of speaking to why anger actually is really powerful for artists. So one thing it says is that anger is meant to be listened to. Anger is a voice, a shout, a plea, a demand. Anger is meant to be respected. Why? Because anger is a map. Anger shows us what our boundaries are. Anger shows us where we want to go. It lets us see where we've been and lets us know when we haven't liked it. Anger points the way, not just the finger. In the recovery of a blocked artist, anger is a sign of health. This past week I initiated an uncomfortable conversation because of being fueled by anger. Again, something still funny enough tied to the man in office. It wasn't necessarily met with the response that I would have liked, but I feel like it was really important to use my voice, own my voice, and also now realizing like, oh, that's interesting parallel with like my life alongside this like journey through the artist's way. And I really want to be on the lookout, again, like importance of paying attention for these sorts of parallels, for this next subject, synchronicities. I love the thought around synchronicities. I love the thought of support from higher power, whatever you want to call it. I feel like it's actually makes me breathe a little bit of a relief when I have to think about, or when I at least let go of the thought that it's all on me, that it's riding on me and what I have, because I tend to discount what I have. So if I could lean on and believe that there is something else, and that when I start to pay attention to that stuff, I'm like, ooh, thank you. So that's definitely something that I've been, trying to do, of like, what are the synchronicities here? One thing that it really was talking about, though, is that if we pay attention, like, these synchronicities are all around us, like, God really does want to help us out to accomplish our dreams and everything, but we are actually not great at receiving. And I think that's a really big thing, especially with women. If any marginalized group, it's like people don't like handouts. Marginalized groups, poor people, like, it's really an aversion to that. It's like you feel like you're admitting that, like, you're insufficient. I didn't realize there was so much background that you're getting on my place right now. When it says that the universe is prodigal in its support, we are miserly in what we accept. All gift horses are looked in the mouth and usually return to sender. We say we're scared by failure, but what frightens us more is the possibility of success. Take a small step in the direction of a dream and watch the synchronous doors flying open. And I have experienced that myself when I've taken leaps of faith where I don't know, like, I don't know how it's gonna work. Like, it works out. And I think a lot of us can say that. And I think that there's a bit of trust that's actually, like, I'm feeling more as I go through this, artist way. And I know it's only week 3, but, like, I'm reminded of the fact that, like, faith is this really necessary component in all of this. So that was, I think, a powerful thing to see. Shame was also spoken about. I feel like, for me, I have felt a lot of shame when it has come to my process. I feel like I don't work as fast as I want to, when I hear these prolific writers and stuff, like Mike White writing all the episodes of White Lotus, which I just finished, and I'm like, could I ever? And there's shame about, like, my process itself. There's shame that I have sometimes about, like, my age of doing stuff, the fact that this is, like, my probably 3rd career, or all of this stuff. Like, there's definitely shame that I felt sometimes. And it's funny because I also coach clients, and I think that shame is a big part of, like, so many artists it's just their shit. It's like a little bit of Achilles heel sometimes. And there's always something that feels like this weight on our shoulders. The act of making art exposes society to itself. Art brings things to light. It illuminates us. It sheds light on our lingering darkness. It casts a beam into the heart of our own darkness and says, see. So I think that there's a lot that comes up when we actually have the courage to speak about stuff that's, like, hard sometimes. Like, honestly, I had moved away from writing about relationships because I felt shame airing out the fact that I was still single in my 30s, which is stupid. It's not stupid. Let me not say that. Let me not even judge myself for that. That's my truth. Like, I felt that, and I felt like if people were to read it, like, I wasn't focused on the people that would get something out of it, because every time I did, publish a piece like that, there were so many people that were like, oh my gosh, like, there are people that were appreciative, but I was just so concerned about, again, the folks that are in the arena who aren't paying my bills. So yeah, shame was talked about, and then dealing with criticism, which I am about to expose myself to because I'm getting feedback actually on Wednesday for some pages. And a lot of the exercises were about kind of like zipping back into childhood stuff, which I thought was kind of dope. Like I enjoyed taking a walk down memory lane, and I think it's kind of nice just to see like the kind of like, I believe that I was gonna say the parallels between who I am today and, you know, who I was years ago. Let me finish that sentence. But I also was just gonna say that I do believe that who we were, a lot of us, unless like you experience extreme trauma as a child, so that's definitely some folks, but like if your childhood was like decent, you know, or better, I think that there's so many breadcrumbs to our lives if we look back. Like that version of ourselves left us mad breadcrumbs on the type of stuff that like light us up. And life is really interesting because like, you know, you go through your 20s, your teens, your 20s of like finding yourself so often. And then I think 30s, probably 40s, it's like a return to self, return to the person that you knew yourself to be. So I actually really enjoyed just like thinking about this stuff and like thinking about like the commonalities with some stuff that they were asking, like who you admire, both like famous people and people in your life. I found that to be really nice. Of like, oh, okay, that's why that makes me want that trait is what makes me want, not want to. That trait is what I admire in somebody. When I see that trait, that's something that's like really like nice and special to me. Things that like I just haven't put into words. So I do like the exercises for that reason. And just seeing like, oh, sometimes you just see like, oh, I was always this person. Like I'm not, you know, sometimes when you go through this stuff, and granted, I think that I've been feeding my artists in ways that some people might not have yet. So I acknowledge that, but there's definitely a lot of like, you always cared about that, or that was always a pain point for you, or like, girl, you haven't changed that much, you know? I will be honest that this week was a little bit challenging to do my morning pages. When I say challenging, like I wasn't as excited, I wasn't as geeked of like, let's get up and let's do morning pages. It was more so like, all right, I gotta do these morning pages. And you know, I find like such good things come out. I think that it helps. It almost like, it gives me like a therapeutic moment before I start my day. It's like a physical exhale, emotional exhale. It's like emotional exhale. We'll go with that. I also have in this week, unrelated to this, but just something that I want to do, I wrote down like delusional goals of mine. So there's just something I feel like that's happening where it's this growing belief of like what's possible. I continued, and it wasn't asked for this week, but I continued to write out affirmations. And I know that there's really some nice like potential goals and just like normalizing certain things for myself. So that's what I'm trying to do. Like I'm gonna tell you guys, because I don't know who's here. I'm calling in big money. I'm calling in big money. I'm calling in aligned creative opportunities. I'm calling in being staffed on a show. Like I'm calling in these really exciting things into my life. Like there's aligned clients coming my way. I'm so excited about who I have worked with this year, and I already know that there are going to be more people. And I am quantum leaping myself right now, and I'm literally in the middle of that. And it's something I talk to with my coach, because I believe for like a therapist needs, if you're a therapist, you need a therapist. I'm a coach, I need a coach. Like you should always make sure that your people have their people. Anyway, and I feel like I'm in the midst of this quantum leap right now. I know I'm in the midst of this quantum leap, and that's scary at times. And it's this constant, like, let me make sure I have the things right with my nervous system. And scripting is one way that like I start to normalize the delusions, you know? These morning pages are one way in which I'm calming my nervous system down, right? When the life stuff gets all crazy, like I'm realizing that those are these are like part, now I call it a soul care toolkit, that they're added to that. So I think that all of this is just like the perfect timing, I'm realizing. It's not a coincidence, right? Because there's no such thing. It's not a coincidence that I'm doing this at this point in time, because expansion's happening, and what I really want to do is I want to make sure that I have the container for all the stuff that I'm calling forth. So yeah, that was week 3. Week 4, week 4 is already like, this is day 1, so more to come. But one part is like it's calling for a reading deprivation, which I've tried to also like find. Actually, I'm not gonna go into that. Reading deprivation, just know that that's gonna be a little bit not as easy. At least it wasn't day 1. But more to come on that next week. That is my little like recap of what's happening Artist Way week 3.